Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Beer and Money. My name is Ryan Burklo.
And I'm Alex Collins.
And on today's episode, Alex and I are going to have a conversation about if our parents, or specifically our mothers, were having to search for a financial advisor, what are the top 3 questions we'd have our moms ask while interviewing to get another advisor? So that's the topic of today. And as always, we're always enjoying a beverage. So if you are watching us on YouTube, hopefully you are enjoying a beverage as well to sit back, relax, and hopefully have some takeaways for your situation, especially if you are shopping for an advisor for yourself. So Mr. Collins, with that being in mind, what are you drinking right now?
I am drinking a Belgian ale from Russian River.
Love it. Russian
one of my
River
favorite.
is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. I am drinking BRBC Pilsner, another Black Raven.
Nice.
So I gotta try a new brewery. I think it's too many Black Ravens lately. So hey, cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
So, Alex, let's kind of dive into this, right? So, I think, and I get asked this question quite often nowadays, where I'll be sitting down with a newer prospective client, and at the end of towards the end, I'll ask them what other questions they might have, and they're actually asking me, well, what questions do you normally get that I haven't asked you?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll normally provide them some questions. And so, and this is how I actually give it back to them. I go, well, I'm going to give you the top 3 questions that I would have given my mom if she was shopping for an advisor. And so, Alex, if you're good with starting us off, I think let's each of us give the top 3 questions we would tell our moms to start with. So why don't you start us off?
I mean, the first question that I would tell my mom to ask is for them to go ahead and describe the process and the outcome. Like, what is it that that this person is going to do for you? And like, you got to coach mom ahead of time in terms of like, okay, hey, here are the things that you're looking for. Here are the things that you want to hear. And it's things like, comprehensive nature, like making sure that the person's going to do more than just one component. And so like, okay, you don't want to hear them being just an investment person or just an insurance person. You want to hear them talk about, what they're going to do for your entire financial picture.
Yep. Love that question. Especially in today's environment, because I think most advisors say they're financial, that they do financial planning.
Yep.
And so, and a lot of them do. I'm not trying to say that many of us don't, but I am aware of there's quite a few that really, they say they do financial planning, but really they're just managing their investments. And I think to piggyback on your question, maybe a secondary question, or I guess maybe a question that I would have is, how are they getting paid?
Yeah.
Because there are several models out there. And so if they say they're getting paid via the investments, well, that is where a lot of their time will be spent, is my guess, on the investments. I'm not saying that that's a carte blanche answer. Some of them get paid via their investments, and they do a really great job. But that is just something to consider when they answer it that way versus when you and I do it. And I'm not trying to say that our model is the best way, but our model is very cut and dry, I think. And our model is, we have a financial planning fee. That's the financial planning stuff. And these are all the things that we do. And the fee is X. And I think that makes it very simple for everyone. And I think that that's a really great question. A, it answers the question of how you get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And B, where they getting paid from.
Well, and we also get paid to implement the plan, whether that's investments or insurance and things of that nature. And again, we try and be as upfront with our pricing model as possible. And 100%, Ryan, the way in which we get paid to do financial planning is a financial planning fee. It's interesting to hear, there are effectively about 4 different models out there right now. There is fee only.
Yep.
There is commission only.
Yep.
There is fee based, and then there is a hybrid. And fee only is they only charge a financial planning fee. And oftentimes this means that they don't actually implement anything. They're just providing you advice and then you go implement it yourself. And my 2 cents is like, okay, you might have really great information, but without actually implementing anything. And that oftentimes is the hardest part, is actually implementing the stuff. Then it's really challenging to actually improve.
Yep.
Commission only can be a problem, because now there's an inherent potential conflict of interest. Not saying that people that are commission paid are inherently bad. They're not. But you do have to make sure that you understand how and why with that. Fee based, it's typically a percentage of the assets that are being managed. And again, that like helps take down some of those conflicts of interest. But again, it's only talking about one component. And so if there's no way for the advisor to get compensated on the other stuff, they have
They
an
might
inherent
gloss over that, right?
right. They might gloss over it. They might not spend the time that they should on it, etc. And then the hybrid model takes into account 2 or 3 of the other methods. Obviously, you and I are hybrid model, and our goal here is to go ahead and make sure that like we're doing the best thing for the client every step of the way, regardless of whether it's commission, fee based, or fee only.
Yeah, and again, there's pros and cons to each one of those.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to see what you're looking for. And I mean, really, this all starts with trust with the advisor, right? If you don't trust the person you're working with, then it makes it that much harder, right? So that's a big piece. And building that trust is just being transparent with how you get paid and where you're getting paid from.
Well, and
So,
that trust and transparency has to go both ways, right?
correct. Yep.
So like, mom, you gotta kind of let them see all of the stuff, because
Yep.
if you only give them like this stuff over here that looks good and you're hiding all the stuff over here that doesn't look good, your plan is going to have issues and blind spots in it that not only you don't know, but your advisor doesn't know. And that's a big issue.
Yep. So we've both gone with top question number 1. What's question number 2 for you?
So question number 2 for me is the pay question. You know, it's understanding exactly what we were just talking about.
So question number 2 for me is, who is it you typically work with? Like, describe what the person is that you have experience working with, right? Because that's going to help you. It's not to say they can't help you if you look different, but if they work with people that look like you financially, married with kids or retirees or whatever, business owners, whatever you look like, they've got a little bit more in-depth knowledge as to your top concerns or blind spots that you may not otherwise have. And I think that's a key ingredient with that. So that's question number 2. Alex, you have question number 3?
Go ahead, ask question, or what's your third question, Ryan, and I'll make sure.
So the third one for me is, I think I'm wanting my mother to work with someone that works with a whole bunch of different professionals in coordination, right? Because my mom probably needs an estate planning attorney to help either change what she currently has in place, or whatever that looks like. CPA, right? Maybe the mortgage professional. I'm wanting the advisor for my mother to work with these different people, so they're all talking and coordinated with one another, rather than my mother having like 5 different siloed financial plans coming her way and just not recognizing it, right? Like a prime example, I'll give a personal one for myself is, I did my estate plan several years ago, and through my experience, both professionally and personally, the one thing that has come up recently that I just completely glossed over, and I had the experience or had this conversation that I had with another advisor a couple months ago, I would have done my estate plan slightly different. And that part of it is, when my daughter is married, and I should knock on wood, if she were to get divorced and my wife and I pass away and she's inherited the money, I don't want her ex to get a single penny from the money that my wife and I worked our tails off to build for my daughter. And so in our current, now we've since changed it, but in our prior plan, the trust that we had set up would have expired at a certain time age period for her. And now that no longer is going to occur because of that. So that's just an example of working with professionals in coordination with experienced professionals so that they can address certain things like that just literally happened to me in my family.
So my third question would be, are they a fiduciary? And where I'm specifically like, well, that's a very basic question. The answer is either yes or no. There's very few people that answer that question anything other than yes or no. However, what I'd be coaching my mom to look for is, okay, so what is it that you do when you don't know the answer? Whom do you go to? How, like, are you willing to work with other professionals? Like, if I have a CPA, are you willing to work with my CPA, or do you have to go to your CPA? Are you willing to work with my estate planning attorney, or do we have to go to your estate planning attorney? How does that interaction work? Am I involved? Am I not involved? Are you guys talking and then sharing it with me? Like, how does that coordination look like? And how do we resolve differences? Because that is critically important to make sure that they're a fiduciary, meaning that they have your best interest at heart every step of the way.
Love it. What will help with that conversation as well is designations definitely help. Like you've got your CFP, I've got my WMCP and my RICP. Those designations require both of us to hold that fiduciary standard. But beyond the designations, to your point, is asking those specific questions that will also tell you how the person works, which is above and beyond that simple yes or no to the answer of fiduciary.
Well, and you want somebody who is smart and intelligent and at the top of their game, but also knows what lane they're in.
Yep.
And willing to say, I don't know, let me go get the answer for you.
Love it.
Because like if they just create or craft an answer that may or may not be accurate, like that's not optimal.
Awesome. I think these are great questions. Hopefully our listeners, right, if you're starting to interview for advisors, these are questions that we would tell our parents to go ask. So I think I hope this is valuable for our clients. As always, look, we started this podcast to help you think differently about your money so that you can live the life that you want. And if you're wanting to work with a professional, having that trust and making sure you're working with the professional that is going to be in lockstep with you is key. And these are questions to ask to help you decide if that's going to be the case. Head over to beermoney.net. At the top of the page, there's a contact us. That's a great spot to ask us questions from today's episode. Or if you have questions that you want us to talk about on our podcast, that's a great spot.
If there's questions that we missed, go ping us with them.
Yeah, that'd be great. As always, we hope this episode is valuable for you. And Mr. Collins.
Cheers.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Although the information has been gathered from sources believed to be reliable, please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon only when coordinated with individual professional advice. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by Park Avenue Securities, Guardian, or Quantified Financial Partners, and opinions stated are their own. Guardian, its subsidiaries, agents, and employees do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. Consult your tax, legal, or accounting professional regarding your individual situation. All investments and investment strategies contain risk and may lose value. This material is intended for general public use. By providing this content, Park Avenue Securities, LLC is not undertaking to provide investment advice or a recommendation for any specific individual or situation, or to otherwise act in a fiduciary capacity. Please contact a financial representative for guidance and information that is specific to your individual situation. Ryan and Alex are registered representatives and financial advisors of Park Avenue Securities, LLC. OSJ 200 Market Street, Suite 1850, Portland, Oregon 97201. Phone number 503-221-1226. Securities products and advisory services offered through Park Avenue Securities, member FINRA, SIPC. Financial representatives of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. Park Avenue Securities is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Quantified Financial Partners is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Park Avenue Securities or Guardian. Ryan Burklo, CA Insurance License Number 0K24924. Alexander Collins, CA Insurance License Number 0H24806.
8104299.1, expiration date June 2027.